In this video, I'm going to be testing out both affordable and high-end makeup with a particular focus on a brand new to me high-end product that I haven't even taken out of the box. And we're also going to do a wear test, so please stay till the end when I'll reveal how the products have fared on my mature over 50 skin. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. So let's make a start. Pin back my hair. So I'm going to start with something I don't usually do, and this isn't a new to me product or anything like that, but it's the Clinique All About Eyes Serum. And I've started using this under my eyes because I think, I may be wrong, but I think it's helping my concealer to stay put or to look a bit better. So I'm going to do that. And I must say it is an absolutely gorgeous product, unfragranced as all the products in this video are because I'm allergic to fragrance. And it just feels kind of cooling and soft under the eyes. And I've seen quite a lot of influencers talk about how useful it is to put an eye gel or an eye cream under their eyes before they apply their makeup. So I just thought we'll give it a go. And talking of eyes, we're also going to apply an eye primer on my lids, and I'm using the Wet n Wild, forgotten the name of it, but the Wet n Wild eye primer anyway, which is very reasonably priced and I think quite effective. My eyelids seem to go in fits and starts, as it were. Sometimes they are, oh, and by the way, this is tinted. Sometimes they're oily and sometimes they're not. And sometimes a primer works for them and sometimes it doesn't. But given that the focus today is on this new product, which I've now given the game away, is going to be an eye product, I want to make sure that I give it the best possible opportunity to last well because it is very high end. Okay, so we've primed our eyes underneath and above. So the first product we're going to be trying today is by Maybelline, and it is the Maybelline Instant Anti-Age Perfector 4-in-1 Whipped Matte Makeup, and it retails for £6.79 or $3.74. I mean, you couldn't get much cheaper than that, could you? Now, why did I pick this? Well, I was looking for a new foundation to me, and I was looking for an affordable foundation, and I found this on Amazon and I thought I would give it a go. Now, I have been trying it on and off for the last week or so, and it is a bit of a strange beast. As you heard from the title, it's whipped matte makeup, which is kind of odd. In fact, when I first got it and took some out of the tube, I thought, what on earth is this? Because I'll show you what I mean. Ooh, if I can get it out. See, that's what it looks like. It's very, very odd. It's not in the least bit liquid. In fact, it couldn't be less liquid, could it? And I think it is. It does look slightly whipped. And then you massage it in. I'll just do it on my hand first. And eventually it does end up feeling, well, it feels very velvety actually. It does end up looking like a foundation, but it has got a very strange consistency. Now, can you see, it does seem to be blurring pores, and let me just tell you what it says actually. It says blurs pores, conceals blemishes, mattifies and evens skin tones. I suppose in a way it reminds me slightly of a cream makeup in a compact because it has got that blurring effect. Now, can you see? That has got quite good coverage but without feeling heavy. So I think it is quite an interesting product. Let me now put it on my complexion so you can see how it looks on me. It's actually really difficult to get out of the tube. Ooh, not the most attractive looking product, is it? Now I think I'm going to apply this with a damp sponge. I think that's the way I'm going to get the best coverage. Quite a dark shade for me, but I think that's okay as we're coming into summer. And I think you can see it's starting to look actually quite good. Let's build it up just a tiny bit more. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll smooth it on my hand first, just smooth it out a bit before I apply it. Let's try that. Just to see if we can cover up the odd blemish. I always have this permanent blemish there. Now that is nice and mattifying, isn't it? Yeah, there's definitely no glow there, is there? But I quite like it. And of course, we can always put the glow back if we wanted to, like we can use a highlighter or something. So I think actually, if you're looking for a very reasonably priced mattifying foundation, I think that's not too bad. But let's see how it wears throughout the day. Right, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to be using a new to me product that was suggested to me by a lovely viewer. and it is the e.l.f. Camo Colour Corrector in Peach. Now, I'm not sure whether the viewer suggested this particular one, but she definitely said try a peach colour corrector under your eyes before you put your concealer on. Now, I had tried this before, but I sort of got out of the habit and I didn't have this particular product. Now, this again is a very reasonably priced product. It's only £4 or $4. It says it's full coverage with a satin finish and it contains hyaluronic acid. So let's give it a go. It's got a slightly strange smell. There's no fragrance in it because I've checked. It's not exactly alcohol, but I can't say I love the smell. But anyway, let's see what the product's like. I'm just going to put it where my dark circles are. I'm never quite sure where to put it exactly. Actually, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Well, it's not that funny, actually. A so-called friend of mine a few months ago told me that I ought to get my bags under my eyes sorted out with surgery. As you can imagine, I unfriended her shortly afterwards because I must admit I hadn't actually thought that I had bags. But now, of course, every time I look in the mirror, I see them. Now I'm exaggerating. But anyway, if we can conceal them in any way with this colour corrector, that would be good. Now I'm going to use my fingers to smooth it out. It's a funny coloured peach, isn't it? I'm not exactly sure I'd call this peach, but hey-ho. Actually, do you know, I should have done one eye with and one eye without, but never mind. You can be the judge of whether it's worked or not for me, can't you? And let me know in the comments what you think. Now we're going from very affordable to very expensive, and we're going to be trying two concealers today. I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. And actually I have used both of these in videos recently, but I haven't actually tested them and talked about them in any detail. So the first concealer we're going to try is by RMS Beauty, and it is the Uncover Concealer, and it comes in a little pot. Looks like that. I am in the shade, I've completely forgotten, but I will tell you, and it costs £38 or $39, so very, very expensive. It says it's lightweight and comfortable to wear and moisturises the skin, remaining in place all day. It helps to conceal imperfections and redness for flawless coverage without looking dry or flaky. So what we'll do, we'll apply it to this under eye, which is my right, your left, and I'm going to use my little finger, and then I'm going to use another new to me product. But anyway, let me just pop this under my eye with my little finger first, like so. Now, another new to me product, as I say, and finally it arrived. I cannot tell you how long it's taken to arrive, but it's the famous Angie Hot and Flashy BK Beauty Brush. Yay! Now, I can't tell you how much this is because I think I got it in the sale, but I think it was about £20. I'll put it all on the screen for you. And here is the little beauty. Now, I'd been trying the Nikki La Rose concealer brush, which I quite liked, but it was a kind of a bit feathery and a bit splayed out for me. And I was watching Angie using her brush the other day and I just thought, I've got to bite the bullet, I've got to give it a go. It just looked so big to me. But you can see it's got quite a big brush head. But anyway, we're going to give it a go. First time on camera today. So here we go. Yes, it just immediately feels huge, but it feels very soft, but also, what's the word? But also contained, if you know what I mean, and not splayed out like the Nikki La Rose one. That does seem to be going on rather well. Excellent. So now let's move on to the other eye, and we're going to be using the Givenchy Prisme Libre Concealer, which is £37. I can't remember how much it is in dollars, but it's probably not that dissimilar. And again, I will put on the screen what the dollar price is. It comes in 24 shades, and apparently it corrects and hydrates. Pretty sturdy, pretty big container, pretty solid, and a doe foot applicator. So what we'll do again is we'll apply this, actually I'll apply this with my little finger like I did with the RMS. Oh, it's quite liquidy, it's quite substantial, and I'm going to just pat it around, and I'm just going to apply it with my finger. Oops, I may have got a bit too much on there. Not to worry, we'll sort it out with the brush. Yeah, I think I got a bit too much, but never mind. Let's get the fab brush and sort that out. I mean, this does feel a lot more like a concealer than the RMS. The RMS is very light. It's almost more like a colour corrector. I do think the Angie Hot and Flashy brush has worked a treat, actually. I really do. Right, I think I've got a bit of settling in there. Maybe if I pat it. I think I just went overboard with the concealer. I just put too much on. Okay, I think we're good to go on to the next stage, and that is a powder. Now we're going back to affordable, and we've got here the number 7 translucent finishing powder. Now this product was suggested to me by a viewer, so I thought I would give it a go. I haven't got the prices in front of me, terribly sorry. I'll put them on the screen. I think it's because it just arrived a day or so ago and I completely forgot to add it to my notes. But all the details of all the products I talk about today will be down in the description box. Now, I must admit, I have never been able to find a decent pressed powder that's affordable that I've liked using, because I'm wedded to my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. And actually this does remind me a little bit of the Beauty Pie One Powder Wonder, which I must admit I didn't really like. Whereas Nadine Baggott, who's one of my favourite influencers on YouTube and beauty journalists, she loved it and she raved about it, but I must admit I wasn't that keen. Anyway, let's give it a go, and I'm going to do my under eyes and I'm going to do my lids as well. Yeah, this is the under eye that I really struggle with. It looks as though it's either the concealer has already started to sort of crepe up, or the powder is just highlighting it, or both. I don't really know exactly. This eye actually looks fine, I think. Anyway, it may be me, it may be my application, I don't know, but we'll see how we get on. I'm not going to do the rest of my face because I'm looking pretty matte as it is, I think, because of the foundation. I can't say it's particularly finely milled, but it's a very nice translucent shade. In fact, let me swatch it for you just so you can see. It's very pale, but it hasn't come out that pale on my skin, I don't think. It's just kind of blended with the rest of my makeup. And it feels very nice and soft, so we'll see how we get on with it. And actually what's really good is it's got a little mirror in the compact, so that's really good. And for the price, I think that's excellent. Of course, I haven't told you how much it is, but it is very reasonably priced, I think. Right, I've done my brows off camera and I've used the Hourglass eyebrow pencil, which I really love. Now let's go on to blusher, and the first one I want to talk about is a high-end product, and it's by RMS Beauty again, and it's their powder blush, and I have it in the shade Hanky Panky. How appropriate. Now, first of all, look at that absolutely beautiful colour. I mean, that looks like some kind of raspberry sorbet, doesn't it? Oh, it's just so beautiful. Now, very, very expensive. £33, probably around the same in dollars. The price will be on the screen. It says it creates a buildable, multi-dimensional colour. It's a skin-loving blush that works to nourish and smooth the complexion. Doubling as a glowy highlighter, this blush provides a long-lasting 3D finish. And it's crafted using sugar-derived wet powder technology, which has a light, creamy texture that glides on easily and blends effortlessly. Right, let me firstly swatch a bit for you before I apply it to my cheek. It feels not exactly creamy, it's got a slight sort of texture to it actually. And look at that colour, oh my goodness me. Is that not the most stunning colour? It really is. I would say it's very raspberry-ish. Now before I apply it to my cheek, let me show you the other blusher. And that is by Rare Beauty, and I have it in the shade Truth. If I can just open the little, I mean, it's very cute. Look at that little thing. There we go. That also has a mirror, actually. They both have mirrors, which is good. Now look at that shade. It's called Truth. It says it's feather light. It gives the most natural and flattering look. Its silky powder texture feels comfortable against the skin, while durable pigments provide an uplifted look all day long. Now this is £26. I'll put the dollar price on the screen, so it's not quite as expensive as the RMS. But let me now swatch this one for you. Now this does feel beautifully soft, actually really soft, as opposed to the RMS, which I know what the word I was looking for was for the RMS, a little bit grainy actually, which is kind of weird. Anyway, let's swatch that as well. Now that's a slightly more orangey tone, isn't it? Slightly warmer, but again, very, very beautiful, I think. Yes, actually that is very orangey. I hadn't quite noticed that before. So one cool toned and one warm toned, but they are very beautiful. And both of them have a sheen to them, I would say, don't you think? So of course the proof of the pudding will be in the application and how they last and how they look on my skin. So let's give it a go, and we'll start with the RMS Beauty. And I'm going to use my BK Beauty 108 brush and just swirl that in. Now, I've been watching videos recently that say we need to be swirling if we have mature skin. I can't remember whose video it was that I was watching yesterday who suggested that. So let's do a little swirl. Actually, I'm not sure this brush is made for swirling. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just apply it first. Actually, no, because we've ended up with a massive amount of pigment now, haven't we? Yes, I think maybe swirling comes with the blending afterwards, but not to worry. So we've applied the Rare Beauty and now let's go with the RMS. But we're just going to pat now. We're not going to swirl yet. We'll do this. The swirling will come in a minute. Okay, so we've got Rare Beauty here, we've got RMS here. Okay, I've got my trusty kabuki brush and I'm going to be doing some swirling and blending. Now, the one thing I've been wondering about, and actually one thing I have noticed as I've been testing them out, is they are showing up my texture, because I seem to have acquired, especially on this side, rather a lot of texture in the last few months, which isn't great, which I suppose means there's a slight unevenness on both sides, but actually from a distance, I think they look okay. I'm just going to put my glasses on and do some proper examination with a mirror, just for my own benefit as well. Yeah, can you see there? It's broken up a bit, hasn't it? Such a shame, isn't it? Let's have a look over here. Actually, interestingly, this one hasn't as much. The RMS looks better, sadly, than the Rare Beauty. What a drag. I mean, to be honest, let's face it, no one's going to be scrutinising my face that closely. I don't know whether we need to worry too much about it because it's only going to be visible close up, and you can't really imagine if you're having a conversation with someone, they're going to suddenly go, oh, look, your blusher has settled into your textured skin. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, is it? But I think it looks to me anyway that this side, the RMS side, is better. But of course, I've got more texture on this side. This is the other thing. Our faces are not even, are they? Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. And now we come to the really exciting bit, because I'm going to be opening on camera and testing for the first time the Victoria Beckham Smoky Eye Brick in Tuxedo for the princely sum of £56. Now, I've always coveted this palette, but for £56 I kept staying away from it. And I do love the Victoria Beckham Kajal pencil. I love that, and that's a fairly recent purchase. Now, I have done a video about that, which I'll link down below for you. But I resisted buying the brick, but actually finally I thought, oh, let's just give it a go. It's so my style. I really think that the colours will suit me because they're very neutral. Now I'm going to put my glasses on and let's open it on camera. So it's very heavy actually, it's very heavy. Comes in a cardboard box. Let me see if I can open this. Oh, there we go. Okay, out it comes. Wow. Oh, and more wrapping. Oh, wow. Oh, gosh, it really is heavy, you know, really heavy. Look at that. Isn't that the most beautiful thing? Oh, my goodness me. It's a little bit like a weeny tiny cigarette case of old, isn't it? Right, let's open it up. And there it is. So it has a mirror and it's got a little plastic thingy cover over the top of the shadows, and there they are. Ooh, don't they look fab? So it looks like we've got French names here, except for the second one. So starting on this side, we've got Blanc, which is white. Then it looks like we've got Rain, which is slightly weird, this grey colour here, which I suppose is very English. Then we've got Noir, which is black, and then we've got Fumé, which is smoke. So those are the shades, and you can see why, if you've watched my channel before, you can see why I like the look of this, because it's a very neutral palette. Right, let me swatch them for you, and I don't think this looks like white, but it's called Blanc, so let's see. I'd say that's more of a cream, really. Anyway, that's Blanc. Now this is Rain. Then we've got, what was the next one? Noir, wasn't it? Yes, black. Yeah, that looks like black, doesn't it? So that's black. And then finally we've got Smoke or Fumé. So there they are. So actually the Fumé and the Noir are quite similar. I mean, they are different, but they're in the same sort of ballpark, aren't they? And then you've got Rain, which is quite a bit lighter and maybe a little less pigmented. And then you've got the very strong Blanc, which, as I say, doesn't look quite as Blanc as I would expect a Blanc to look. But anyway, the proof of the pudding again will be in the application and how they look on my eyes. So let's give that a go. So I think what we'll do is we may only use 2 colours today. I think we'll use the Fumé and the Rain. Actually, as I look at this Rain, it doesn't look quite as grey as I thought. I think what we'll do is we'll use the grey on my mobile lid and we'll use the Fumé on the outer edges and see how that works. So we'll start off with the shade Rain. Oh, there's quite a lot of fallout there. That is a nice shade, actually. That's got a good pigment to it. It's not the most exciting shade, but it's got a good pigment. Let me just show you how much fallout there is. Look at that. It needs a couple of applications to get a decent pigment payoff, I think. Yes, definitely some fallout. Right, I'm going to go into Fumé now, and I'm going to use my finger to try and get a more precise application on the outer corner. I mean, that is a great colour, isn't it? Yeah, I'll just pop a bit on there and on the other side. And then we'll do some blending. I get a blending brush and do some judicious blending now. Okay, I think we've made a reasonable stab at the blending. So now I'm going to get a small brush, another BK Beauty, the weeny tiny one, and I'm going to put it in this black here, and I'm going to use that to line my eyes. I'm having to stab the eyeshadow quite a lot to get enough pigment onto the brush. Yeah, interesting. It's not applying all that easily over the original eyeshadow. I wonder if it's that. So it's all looking a bit messy at the moment, so it needs a good tidy up. Let me do that now. You know, I think what I might do is actually, what I will do is I'm going to add some of this so-called white, but just not too much, in the inner corner. Well, not the inner corner, but the inner part of my lid, I think. In fact, I don't want it to be too white, so let's just be a bit careful about how we apply it. Let's just do a tiny bit. The trouble is I'm slightly worried I'm going to mess up the eyeliner. But just to make a bit of a contrast, maybe that looks a bit better, do you think? It's not the easiest to work with, I must say. Yeah, I think that gives it a bit more interest, doesn't it? Well, we'll let that settle for a bit and we'll go on to mascara now. I mean, first impressions are I'm not absolutely loving it like I thought I would, but I think probably one needs to play around with it. It is first impression, so it is very early days. Okay, the next product we're going to be trying is the Lash Paradise by L'Oreal. Now, I have used this before, but one of my lovely subscribers suggested I try it. So I thought, yes, let's go back to it. Let's give it a go. So it's very reasonably priced. Again, the prices will be on the screen for you. It's white. I'm sure a lot of you have tried it before. But I thought it would be good to try, not just because she recommended it and I had liked it before, but also I've got some mascaras that I'm not loving. So I thought if I tried it and then used one of these mascaras on the top, it might make the mascara perform better. So let's give it a go. And for mascara, I'm going to use another viewer suggested product, and that is the No. 7 Age Defying Mascara. So this has quite a thin brush and feels very light, but let's give it a go on the top of the primer. So far so good. Obviously needs a couple of coats. My lashes are being a bit unruly at the moment, by the way. They're not looking their very best. I always have a lash lift every sort of 2 or 3 months. I'm probably due for one. But I think the last time they did it, they sort of overdid it a bit, so they ended up slightly wiggly as opposed to being just standing up, if you know what I mean, because they use a kind of perming solution. So you have to be a bit careful that you don't actually perm your lashes in the way that you would, in other words, curl them like a perm. They've just got to stand proud from the rim of your eye, haven't they? That's what you're after. Actually, I can see you have to be careful with the lash primer not to leave any white residue at the base of your lashes, because I can see a tiny bit, although to be fair, it might be the shadow rather than the primer, I don't know. See, this side, they're already drooping. They're in dire need of a lash lift, these lashes. But yeah, not bad actually, not bad at all. Right, let's finish off with some lipstick. And I haven't got any new lip products to show you, but I am going to use the Lisa Eldridge Sculpt and Shape pencil in 2C or C2. And I'm going to use it all over my lips and then apply lipstick on the top because I love this shade so much. I want to go fairly neutral on the lips because of the eyeshadow. Quite smoky, isn't it? Now that is quite dark, but I'm going to apply the Merit lipstick in Baby, which is quite light. That's it there, and I think that should work on the top to give a more neutral colour. Although I'm wondering, you know, because the eyeshadow is so cool, whether we need a pinkier colour on the lips. We're going to add a bit of Velvet Pompadour from Lisa. Actually, I think that's really nice, isn't it? Yeah, there we go, lipstick layering. Right, so here we have the finished look. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to come back at the end of the day to see how everything has worn and give you my thoughts. So here we are at the 8-hour check-in. And I have some thoughts. So first let's look at the eyeshadow. So let's see how it's worn first of all. Let me zoom you in. What do we think? It looks to me, in terms of wearing, and obviously we've got to go by the primer, this eye, my right, your left, has not fared quite as well as the left eye, your right. But that's quite normal for me. In fact, let me just lift up my fringe a bit. And you can see there's some sort of feathering going on here, but actually here it's not too bad. But we weren't actually testing the primer, were we? We were testing the eyeshadow, and I think that's worn pretty well. But what do I think about it? Well, I have to say I'm quite underwhelmed, really. I was expecting something more exciting. I don't really know what I was expecting exactly, but given it's Victoria Beckham, and whenever I see her wearing, it looks great. And I think this is her signature palette, but I couldn't make it work for me that well today. But I don't know, what do you think? It's okay, but when I think about the Urban Decay palette that I've been using in a few videos lately, and I'll link one of them down below for you, it hasn't got the same range. I mean, I know obviously it's a much smaller palette. It is very beautiful, but for £57, I think I'd have to get quite a lot of wear out of it. So I don't know. Obviously, this is first impressions, and I'm going to play about with it. I'm certainly not just going to shove it in a drawer and forget about it. So I will play about with it, and maybe it's going to be more of an autumn-winter palette that I reach for rather than summer colours. And there was a lot of fallout as well, actually, for such an expensive palette. But we'll see. The jury's out, I think, at the moment, but I'm a bit underwhelmed. Right, let's go on to the foundation. Now, as I said before, I had been trying this out over the last few days, and I must admit that when I last tried it out, I think it was yesterday actually, it looked terribly matte, but today it doesn't seem quite as bad. I mean, okay, it's not glowy, that we can definitely say that, but I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? I mean, the advantage of it not being glowy is that actually I'm not very shiny because I haven't touched my makeup at all since 10 o'clock this morning. And it's been a really hot day here. It's been 24°C, and that's pretty hot for London all of a sudden, and it's only mid-May. So I'm pretty impressed with it actually, and I don't think it looks too heavy or cakey at all. So given it had that sort of weird consistency, it was sort of moussey. I think it's actually, was it called a mousse? I've forgotten the name of it, but it really actually wasn't that bad. Oh no, souffle, that was it, not mousse, souffle, well, same thing. So yeah, so I'm quite impressed with it, and a really good price, very affordable. Now onto the powder. I mean, again, I was a bit underwhelmed with it yesterday and I did find it a bit cakey, but today it's actually not looking that bad. Suggested by a viewer, so thank you very much for that. Really appreciate your comments, by the way. So if you've got any suggestions for me at all to try any makeup, affordable or high-end, please let me know, because I'm compiling a list and I go through it regularly. So absolutely love hearing your comments about what works for you and what you'd like me to try, so that you don't have to. And yes, quite impressed with the powder actually. I must say it's probably the best pressed affordable powder I've got now. Now let's talk about the blushes. So this was the RMS on this side and this was the Rare Beauty on the other side. Now, as I say, I've got a problem here with possibly the blusher or possibly actually my cheek, because I've got a lot of texture and unfortunately the blusher has settled into the texture quite badly, whereas this side where I've got the Rare Beauty, it hasn't done. But then of course I probably don't have the same texture, because as we know, our faces are not symmetrical and we don't have the same issues on each side of our face. So at the moment I'm preferring the Rare Beauty, I have to say. However, I do think the shades are very beautiful. And of course, I'm going to keep using the RMS blusher to see how I get on with it. And I will try it on both sides of my face instead of just one. And I'll let you see that in a future video. They are, of course, both very expensive. The RMS is more expensive than the Rare Beauty, but they are beautiful products with lovely pigments. And they also do have a bit of a glow, which I like. So that avoids one having to use highlighter. Now, what did we think of the Peach Corrector by e.l.f.? I don't know whether I applied it very well. It's typical, isn't it? I recorded this video this morning, it's Sunday morning, and then I've gone and watched Tamara and she's been applying her Pixie Peach Corrector today, and I thought, gosh, if only I'd seen that, if only I'd watched it before I applied this, I might have done a better job. However, I think it's not that bad. I mean, I do have bags and I do have dark circles. I've always had dark circles since I was 16 years old. In fact, maybe before that. It was only when I was 16 and I put in contact lenses for the first time because I was so short-sighted, and I put them in and I nearly wept because I saw these awful blue circles under my eyes. I thought, what on earth are those? Because I'd never seen them before with my glasses on. So I know I've got them anyway, but do you think it made a difference? Again, I probably should have done one eye with and one eye without. But let me know your thoughts, and do you use a corrector? I know a few people have mentioned it, and this is again a viewer suggested, not product, but a viewer suggestion that I use a colour corrector, so this is what I've done. Now, let's talk about the concealers. So we had in the red corner, as it were, on the right hand side, we had the RMS Uncover concealer, and on the left hand side we have the Givenchy Prisme Libre concealer. So what do we think? Is one better than the other? Are they very similar? Are they not? This is the eye that always creases more than the other side. So obviously the right side is my problem side, which is odd because I tend to sleep more on my left, so I don't really know why that is. I think it's clear that you can see I've got settling going on here, whereas not quite so much on the other side. But again, that's my under eyes for you, and I don't think the concealer's to blame. I think the RMS is lighter, but I quite enjoyed using it, and I've used the Prisme Libre a few times as well, and I do like that, so I'm not sure there's much between them. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Can you see a difference or not? Oh, and that brings me to the Angie Hot and Flashy Concealer Brush, the 506. Now, I did enjoy using this actually, and I think for me it might be easier to use than the Nikki LaRose, which, as I say, is a bit feathery. So obviously this is the first time I've used it today, so I need to practice. So we'll see how we get on with that. First impressions, I am really liking it. And finally, let's talk about the eyelash primer and the mascara. So I think the primer worked really well, and it did seem to thicken my lashes a bit. And the mascara's okay. I'm not sure that I love it at the moment, but it is early days and a mascara kind of needs to get into its groove a bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to keep using it. It's reasonably priced. I think it's done a good job of feathering. It's not really a sort of va-va-voom mascara, but I quite liked it. It's a good little workhorse, I guess, but I'm going to keep using it and see how we get on maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, because actually the Lisa Eldridge Kitten Lash took a good few weeks to get into its stride, and it has now, so maybe it'll be the same with this one. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on my recent affordable and high-end makeup purchases. So let me know in the comments, have you tried any of these? Do let me know if you've tried the Victoria Beckham. I'd be really interested. Or maybe you've tried another palette in the range. Do let me know, and let me know if you've tried any of these other products, or would you be interested in trying them. Some of them are very expensive, and of course some are very reasonable as well. And let me know if you like this sort of video. Do you prefer a dedicated affordable and a dedicated high-end, or do you like a mix and match approach? And if you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you'd give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, because that lets YouTube know to suggest my video to other women who might enjoy this kind of content. And if you'd like to hear more from me, I have a monthly newsletter, and the link to subscribe to that is in the description box below. And in that, I don't just talk about beauty, fashion and lifestyle, but I also talk about books, music, TV, podcasts, and all the other bits and bobs that make our lives worthwhile. And thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. It really does. And I hope you're all doing really well. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Bye.